Money is debt. Debt is money. According to Mariner Eccles, the governor of the Federal Reserve, on September 30th, 1941, with the House Committee hearing on banking and currency, he stated, "If there were no debts in our money system, there wouldn't be any money." Now, according to John Adams, one of our founding fathers, a quote from him, "There are two ways to conquer and enslave a nation. One is by the sword, the other by debt." Now, the last time the national debt was paid in full in our history was in 1835, when President Jackson, Andrew Jackson, closed the central bank, which was the predecessor to the Federal Reserve. And in so doing, the debt was cleared up. He was quoted to have said about that bank, "The bold efforts the present bank has made to control the government are but premonitions of the fate that awaits the American people should they be deluded into a perpetuation of this institution or the establishment of another like it." That was the last time the national debt was paid off in full. Now, why I'm bringing these things up and why I'm talking about this, I think is pretty obvious. Recently, the oversheriff of one of the communities, or I guess Chicago, said they were no longer going to utilize their force to drive people out of their homes because people were defaulting on their mortgages. The people that were being driven out of their homes were renters. The people who had defaulted on their mortgages were renters. The defaulters of the mortgages, I should say, were the owners of the property. Therefore, good, honest Americans who were paying their share, their part, were being chastised for the failure of the people who own the property. Anyway, the oversheriff stated they would no longer do this. Now, it is not a coincidence that a law enforcement officer has chosen to not enforce economic law. There was a plan called Vampire 2000. It was Operation Vampire 2000 that I read many years ago, put together by law enforcement to stop the New World Order. According to this particular document, in the section called The World Money Powers, let me quote some of these quotes that are here. George W. Malone, U.S. Senator from Nevada, speaking before Congress in 1957, alluded to the families that secretly own the Federal Reserve Bank and control the finances of the U.S. He stated, "I believe that if the people of this nation fully understood what Congress has done to them over the last 49 years, they would move on Washington. They would not wait for an election. It adds up to a preconceived plan to destroy the economic and social independence of the United States." Thomas Jefferson, U.S. President, quote, "I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. Already they have raised up a moneyed aristocracy that has set the government at defiance. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs." James A. Garfield, U.S. President, "Whoever controls the volume of money in any country is absolute master of all industry and commerce." Henry Ford, founder of Ford Motor Company, commented on the privately owned Federal Reserve System scam. Quote, "It is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." Louis McFadden, U.S. Congressman, said this about those same international financial conspirators during the very time they were taking over the monetary control of America. Quote, "We have in this country, one of the most corrupt institutions the world has ever known. I refer to the Federal Reserve Board and the Federal Reserve Banks, hereinafter called the Fed. They are not government institutions. They are private monopolies, which prey upon the people of these United States for the benefit of themselves and their foreign customers. End quote. The American Mercury magazine, on December 1957, page 92, quote, "The invisible money power is working to control and enslave mankind. It financed communism, fascism, Marxism, Zionism, and socialism. All of these are directed to making the United States a member of world government." Meyer Amschel Bauer, alias Rothschild Head Bloodsucker. This is per this document. The godfather of the Rothschild banking cartel of Europe stated, quote, "Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws." End quote. Our Congress gave him and fellow international bankers complete control of the U.S. monetary system through passage of the Federal Reserve Act, the Income Tax Act, and the 17th Amendment in 1913. Rothschild Brothers of London, in a letter discussing their new banking scheme with a fellow conspirator, June 25, 1863, they stated, "The few who understand the system will either be so interested in its profits or so dependent on its favors that there will be no opposition from that class. The great body of people mentally incapable of comprehending the tremendous advantages will bear its burden without complaint. That burden is being borne by us. We are the ones who are not complaining." Russell Monk, Assistant General Counsel, Department of the Treasury, in a 1977 letter admitted, quote, "Federal Reserve notes are not dollars." End quote. One last word on the money vampires, and this is from the document. Do we wonder why so many Americans are being sucked dry and are losing their homes, farms, and businesses each week? It's just cyclical, temporary economic downturn, as the establishment experts and controlled media tells us. That is a fabrication of the 10th power. If any officer doubts this after reading the preceding statements by the money parasites, it would be wise to consider this secret communique circulated among the leading U.S. bankers only way back in 1934, entitled The Banker's Manifesto. I will only read the first paragraph. Quote, "Capital must protect itself in every way. Debts must be collected, and loans and mortgages foreclosed as soon as possible. When through a process of law the common people have lost their homes, they will be more tractable and more easily governed by the strong arm of the law, cops, applied by the central power of leading financiers. People without homes will not quarrel with their leaders. This is well known among our principal men who engaged in forming an imperialism of capitalism to govern the world by dividing the people. We can get them to expend their energies in fighting over questions of no importance to us except as teachers of the common herd." Taken from the Civil Servants Yearbook, The Organizer, January 1934. Now I will stop there. Here's what I'm getting at, and this video is almost over. I'm running out of time. We are in deep shit. We have given our power to the evil, the only one true evil empire there is. There was a reason why Christ drove the moneylenders out of the temple. It is time to drive the moneylenders out of our temple. The United States of America, the country of the United States of America, not the government, the country is our temple. It is time for us, if you are a Christian, if you are any religion, Christ was a prophet. Regardless of what religion has been based on him, Christ was a revolutionary. Take up your arms and speak loudly. Carry a big stick. Do not accept this any further. Drive them out of the temple. Remember, the 5th of November, the day after our election.